What are you doing, bro? Welcome to episode 38 of Cool Ranch Corner. How we doing?
Yo, nothing's going on in my life because I don't do a whole lot. What about you?
I just got back from LA, so that was really cool. I went to Six Flags.
You see any homeless people?
Um, oh yeah, lots of graffiti. But yeah, no, it was nice to get away for a few days. I was there for a film related thing that I signed an NDA for, so I can't say anything. All I will say is that while I was there, I met Chris Stuckman, which is like literally one of my like childhood heroes.
Yeah,
He's been a YouTuber for like over 10 years, and yeah, no, I told him how he inspired me to become a content creator and a filmmaker, and he like almost teared up and like he was like, "Give me a hug," and so I gave him a hug and got a picture with him. I did not realize he was as tall as he is. He's like
yeah,
six
he's
feet tall.
tall, dude.
Yeah.
Like I saw the picture, I
But
was like, dang, he's a giant.
I he mentioned that he has like social anxiety a lot, and so like I could see that, which was like interesting to me because I feel like most people who are like content creators usually build up a tolerance to that. Like I know I have. But I realized like he really just does movie reviews. Like he rarely is like doing anything else, and so I guess he's not as he doesn't put himself out there as much. And so it was really interesting to see that somebody that was my hero like struggles with something that I used to, you know. Like I was like, he's just another human being, you know, and that's something that I'm constantly reminded anytime I meet anybody that I look up to or a celebrity or whatever, you know. Um, yeah, so that was really cool. Six Flags was packed. We had to get flash passes because otherwise we would have waited and we only would have gone on like two or three rides because it was literally like 1.5 to 2 hour waits for each ride.
Jeez.
And we got there at like 1 in the afternoon and it closed at 8. And we got flash passes and we went on like I think 5 different rides. We went on one of them twice.
I remember
Yeah,
the ride that I went on when we went like a long time ago was the Ninja, and I was so I had to have been like 9. I was so scared, and I closed my eyes the whole time. Like I literally didn't even want to see it, but all I heard was people
I,
screaming the whole time. And then finally, our sister was just like, "Hey, it's done," and I just cried after I got off.
dude, I think you would dig it more now that you're older and like you're not as like
I don't think so,
it's not
dude.
an unknown.
So when I was in middle school, we took a class about like the physics of roller coasters, right? And like the thing with roller coasters is they're designed to like barely work.
But they're designed to scare you, like 100%.
Well,
Because
yeah.
I mean, I don't get scared very easily when it comes to stuff like that because I experienced a lot of stuff while I was on helicopters that would make anybody poop their pants. Um, and I mean, the thing with like a roller coaster is it's a controlled thing. You know, like it's all under control, and it really is because if not, you would hear about accidents all the time. But in a helicopter, like it, there's a lot of human error involved with that, and so it's much sketchier. And like, I mean, every time I went on the helicopter, I was like, this could be the last time I ever like, you know, like it's like a really bad thought to have, but that's just the reality of it. It was a dangerous job. Whereas with the roller coaster, like I just roller coasters, I feel safe to an extent. You know what I mean? And there was one roller coaster that I went on that I don't know why I never went on it before. I don't know if it was constantly down for maintenance or what. But it's called Twisted Colossus,
I think I
and
remember
they
that.
have like two cars that race each other. Right? Like the like one had to wait for us, and then we lined up and we went. It goes, I think the top speed is like 57 miles per hour, which in a roller coaster feels insanely fast, especially since it literally just goes. It feels like you're at a Tesla where it just goes. There's like no torque, or it's like instant torque. Um, but it had these like turns where you would literally like full 90 degrees sideways. Like you would go into a turn and like do it was fantastic. We went on that one twice. That's how much we liked it. It is my new favorite roller coaster. Next to the Goliath, which has like the biggest drop in the park. The Goliath is like insane. It's like almost 400-foot drop or something like that. It's nuts. And that one goes into some G force that makes you feel like you're in a plane and you're gonna pass out. It's like really fun. But
I don't know. I mean, because I remember when we went, like, there was a certain point where I think we were kind of just wandering around. We went to the kids area, and it was like, I remember there was like one roller coaster. I say it in quotes because it was like it went at like 2 miles an hour. It was so slow, but it just went in the loop, right? And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
like this is like too lame. It's like, for me, it's like it needs to have a balance of like, oh man, like that thing really moved, but it's not like you're super high up in the air or something like that. Like if it was close to the ground, I think it'd feel a lot more safe. But
Yeah, no, like every single one of these rides, except for maybe one, like while you're going up for the first drop, you're like, God damn, we're high, bro. Like you got to just not think about it because, like I said, you're literally like, and what was interesting is like each roller coaster has a different like seating arrangement. Like one of them, we were the Riddler's Revenge. You're like standing. You're almost like the seat is
yeah,
like a bicycle.
I do remember that. Yeah,
Um, yeah, but then there's other ones like where you're like, man, I've barely like the Goliath is like probably the scariest one height wise and everything, and it's literally just like a seatbelt and and like a bar that goes down on like the top of your legs, like your waist is like exposed. It's like it feels so sketchy, but it is. It's just, I mean, when you go down that first drop, you literally can't see like the track in front of you. It's the scariest drop in the
well,
park for sure.
wasn't there some ride where like some girl's legs got cut off or something like that?
I think that was like a Knott's Berry Farm thing or something. I don't remember. Sorry if I'm wrong. My apologies, Knott's Berry Farm. I'm not even gonna say. I don't know. But yeah, there's accidents every once in a while.
That's why I get scared. It's because it's like, yeah, it
Six
works.
Flags is a very high end chain. Like they're what I would say they're the best roller coaster park. Like every single one of the rides is except for the Apocalypse. The Apocalypse is way too short, bro. Way shorter than I remember. I don't know if they shortened it when it changed from like the Terminator Salvation ride to the to Apocalypse, but it just that feels like a roller coaster. It just doesn't have any life in it
I
anymore.
like how do they even
You need to get rid of
get?
that shit.
How did they? So like the Riddler and I think there's like the Superman and stuff like that.
They have a deal with DC for sure
I wonder,
and Warner Brothers.
is there like a an amusement park chain that does stuff with like Marvel? Because like,
Disney,
oh duh,
Disneyland,
yeah,
Disney
yeah,
World. They
yeah.
have Star Wars there too. Yeah,
But what about before Disney like owned Marvel?
I don't think there was anything.
Wow. See, I feel like
Yeah,
that's a huge well, maybe because Marvel, like, although it was popular, like I think Marvel's way more popular now because of the movies.
yeah. But Marvel was like super close to bankruptcy at one point,
Oh
and
damn.
they sold Spider-Man to Sony in order to keep the company afloat.
Yeah, which is
What I
why.
remember.
Yeah,
And now
they.
Sony's holding that shit hostage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like one of the only things they have that really like puts out,
Well, no, they have Morbius.
that is Marvel.
Yeah, but Sony owns Morbius, right?
Yeah, and
Y-
Madam Web.
Yeah. Which I don't know, man. I know they had the whole thing where they tried to like didn't they try to re-release it in hopes that like more people
Morbius,
would,
yeah.
yeah, they would try and like watch it, and it was like, no, you guys, like
They
we were
tried to play into
joking.
the meme
Yeah, and so
and it backfired.
yeah, that whole movie was a disaster. But
Yeah. Um, I guess next we could talk about Patreon. So still working on getting that up on the first. I gotta get with Chris and actually like work on it one of these days. But we can bang it out in one night. It's so easy. Um, but yeah, July 1st we're gonna be launching the Patreon. And if you did not hear in the last episode, it's because I want to make sure you guys get a full month out of your first membership. I don't want to start it towards the end of the month or halfway through like we talked about last week. But um, the bike riders interviews are up. I did a bunch of interviews with the cast and the writer director Jeff Nichols, who is a genuinely like amazing human being. Like I was really surprised. He talked to me like on the day before we did this thing for Memorial Day, and I talked to him for like a solid 20 minutes. Um, half one on one, half with somebody else who would like walk up and listen and then walk away because they're like, oh, he's having a conversation. But he has become one of my favorite writer directors, one of my favorite directors, because I realized very quickly not only that he's a genuine human being, but he's done 6 movies and each one has gotten an increasingly bigger and bigger budget. Like the Bike Riders has like a $40 million budget, which to me is like the dream. Like if I was him, I would be like, yeah, like I mean, of course you can get a bigger budget, but like 40 million, you can pretty much do anything with $40 million, man. Once you get to $40 million, I mean, look at the cast he assembled. I think that's what you do with 40 million. You go, all right, I'm gonna take half of that and I'm gonna spend it on the cast, and then the other half you put towards actually making the movie because 20 million is enough to make pretty much anything. Like the way that VFX are and stuff now, it's about who you hire. I mean, look at Godzilla minus one. That's a $15 million movie, and to
I
me, it was
still
the
need to
best
see
movie
that.
last. Dude, I Chris, Godzilla minus one is I can't believe I'm saying this. I did not think that a Godzilla movie could make me tear up. I did not think that was possible. Dude, you're laughing right now, but you're gonna watch that shit and you'll be like, "Oh, he wasn't joking." If you want, I'm waiting to get the Blu-ray. We should watch that together, like in person on Blu-ray, like either at my place or at mom and dad's. That's what I think.
But see, the problem
I'll
is if we wait until then, I'm like never gonna watch it then because like I probably want to go to mom and dad's for like maybe 6 months or a year. It's gonna be a while.
come here for a weekend then. I will
Screw
pay. I'll
that!
pay for.
I'm not gonna. I'm
Dude,
not driving
I
all the way
will.
over there, dude.
I'll pay for your plane ticket.
No.
It's like a 45-minute flight.
I, I don't.
I flew from Phoenix to Albuquerque yesterday, and it was a 45-minute flight.
I still don't want to. I don't want to fly just to go and watch a movie.
Well, not only that, you can meet the baby and hang out with us,
I
and
would.
we'll go. Dude, we could try some of these places I've been telling you about. Everybody in the comments comment. Chris needs to. Dude, the content
I.
will be
No,
immaculate.
no, no. We're not doing this peer pressure crap. We're not doing that.
Okay, everybody.
Oh God.
All right, I won't do it. Seriously though, like I would 100%. Like I'll take care of you, fam.
There's
You are
no way
fam.
you just said fam in
I am.
2024, bro.
Dude, seriously, I miss you, man.
Well,
I can't even remember the last time I seen you in person. I'll come over there. But
unless
you
unless
gotta.
unless you're gonna go to mom and dad's for Christmas, but I think they might be going to Texas.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to Texas. I mean, if you'll go there,
I don't know.
like I said, either that or I can come there or you can come here. And I think you coming here would be the easiest. We have a nice couch that you can sleep on, and I'll pay for your
Ugh,
flight. And it'd be
I
super
don't know.
cheap.
I still gotta figure out if I'm going to Texas.
We'll talk about it later, but
Yeah,
we got some shit to watch while you're here for sure. And Giancarlo and Jorge can come over too. We can have like a little hangout. That'd be fun.
we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. But peer pressure him in the comments.
No, that's not how that works.
Um, but oh, the bike riders though. I put next to the topic. I I put out these interviews and there was four of them. There was one with the whole cast, which was at the USO, and it was a much more relaxed environment. And then I did three other interviews. One with Jeff Nichols, one with Austin Butler and Jodie Comer, and then one with Tom Hardy over Zoom. Each one of those interviews was a completely different experience, and it was all my first time doing a real legit press check-in interview. I did one with a director who's done some really small stuff over Zoom one time, and that was a completely different experience. It did not feel as official. But I got some comments specifically on the Tom Hardy one. I think on one of the other ones too. But people were basically saying like I needed to like lighten up, or the Tom Hardy one. They were like, he asked you a question and I ignored him, and I was like, okay, I don't know what question you're referring to. If it's the one where he said, "Am I well?" He was like, "How you doing, buddy? Are you well?" And I was like, "I'm doing great." And then I got into it, right? So I'm not making an excuse, but just to put some context to the situation. This was my first time doing interviews like this, where they literally have like like almost like a studio space for it. And the way that it works is they tell you, "All right, you're up soon." They bring you to a back room, and it is dead quiet because they're doing interviews, and you can hear them doing the interviews, and everybody back there is like, and they're like, "Get out of here." You know, like it is
Knew
so
it.
quiet, so quiet. It is like you're back there, and the energy is just like stressful. Then they tell you, "All right, you're up. Get in there now, like right now. Like hurry your ass up. You don't have time." You get put into this room and like they tell you like look into the camera, say your name and what outlet you're with, which the first time I did that with Jeff Nichols, I was like, "What?" And I have a clip. Jeff Nichols is just like shaking his head like, "Yeah, I know. This is like, this is how they do it." And then I was like, I don't have an outlet. I do. I'm a content creator, and like Jeff Nichols started laughing, and then they're like, "All right, go." And so he gets all serious, and I'm like, "Hey Jeff, how you doing?" But I've like each one of these interviews, except for the Austin Butler Jody Comer one, the person I was interviewing was like, "Oh, hey, what's going on? You again?" And then they're like, "All right, hold up, we got to reset because like we weren't recording yet. You didn't so the Tom Hardy interview specifically, I came in and I was like, "Hi, Tom," and then he's like, "Hey, man, are you well? Are you doing this and that?" And he like starts talking, and they're like, "Whoa, whoa, hey, we got to do this and that," and I'm like, "Damn, all right." And so we had to pretend like we were saying hi for the first time,
Yeah, I hate that.
which
I
is
hate
awkward
that.
as fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, and so if you go back and watch that Tom Hardy interview, I think you can see that. But at the same time, next to the camera that they're using to record the interview with, there is a person standing there with a card that says you have 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they put another one up that says 2 minutes. And then they have one that says 1 minute. But the Tom Hardy one, I don't know if the person who was doing it was stressed out, but this lady was just like, she kept tapping on her watch and she kept going like this. And so that my attitude was because I went in there and there was somebody constantly looking at me like, you better hurry up and move it along. And it was just that I think for anybody would be stressful. And not only that, because Tom Hardy's was over Zoom, it was hard to hear him and there was a delay. And so my main priority was let him talk, don't talk over him. So if you got a problem with that, you go do it and show me you could do it better, because that is one of the most stressful things I've ever had to do is interview somebody over Zoom. That's Tom Hardy, bro. I've been watching this guy since since I was playing on the preschool playground. Tom Hardy. Have some damn respect, man. I
That's
really
Bane.
like
That's Bane.
that's Venom, homie. Like, I mean, dude. One of the biggest, like, and then before that, I'm interviewing Austin Butler and Jodie Comer together, who are both like two of the biggest, like, I mean, they're huge. You know what I mean? And like, I would say the Austin Butler Jodie Comer one was the most fast paced. Like, I got in there and they're like, "We're behind. You need to hurry it up. Get in and get out." And I'm like, like
Yeah, you were
the Jeff
behind.
Nichols
How was that
one.
your fault? Yeah.
So the Jeff Nichols one, I go in there and it was my first time doing that ever. I literally am like, "Whoa, this is how we're doing it? This is crazy." And then I got 4 minutes to do this interview. Then the Austin Butler Jodie Comer one, they're like getting after me because they're behind, which is like adding an
Yeah.
extra pressure to it. That's not my fault. Like literally they're going like this and Austin's talking and I'm like, I'm not gonna just like tell him like, "Bro, come on, we're gonna finish this interview." All right, I think that's enough. That's enough, Mr. Elvis. I got, you know what I mean? Like, dude, like I'm gonna let them talk. And then the Tom Hardy one was over Zoom, so that just added a whole nother element to it. So there's the context of those interviews and why I'm a little stiff. I still think I did a good job considering it was my first time. Like, cut me some
Yeah,
slack
which
here.
is that's the interesting thing is like I think people don't realize. Yeah, it's like you've never interviewed someone like that before.
Yeah.
That's like if I was in your position, I would be freaking out. If anything, I might even say no because it's scary. Like, I'd be like,
I mean,
I'm good. I don't want to deal with that pressure. That's too much.
I think like I could have easily been in there and been like, "Hi, Tom Hardy. It's good to meet you." I'm just like shitting a brick while I'm talking to him.
You call him Venom by accident.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom.
"Hi, Mr. Born in the Darkness. I but yeah, no, I do see the criticism. Like I think it could have had a little more upbeat energy, but I mean it was just a stressful thing. Like I did those 3 interviews like back to back to back, and each time it was just like I was just new to it and I was like, this is my first time doing it, just don't fuck it up. And like I'm there to interview them. You guys need to understand, like, an interview is much different than a podcast or like a recorded conversation. Like I'm there to ask a question and let them talk. I'm not there to go, "Hey, so like," and then he goes like, Yeah, well, what do you think about this director? How do they do stuff? Oh, I really like this movie. No, it's like move on. Like they're there to talk about their movie and promote their movie. They're not there for me to like make friends. Um, it's just
Yeah.
how it is.
Well, because
And like I said, if you don't like the way I did it, show me you can do it better.
well, the thing that I've always been confused by when it comes to those interviews, like if you see them on YouTube, right? Usually, usually it's like it feels so casual, and it's like it's because that person's done it so many times. But it's like it seems like they have all the time in the world, right?
Well,
And
I'm not gonna name names or anything, but while I was there, like waiting for my turn, I could literally hear people getting yelled at for taking too long to do their interview or like getting off topic. Yeah, it is not like you guys need to understand, like these interviews are edited. I gave you full unedited interviews except for maybe like a little bit at the beginning I trimmed because at the beginning it's always awkward while you have to like literally I'm not gonna put up Derek Bowder, Danny Dorito 23 on social media. All right, go for it. Hi, how you doing, Jeff Nichols?
hello.
There's stuff that's cut off because it's not meant to be shown. It's not meant to be. Not all of it's meant to be shown. And so you watch some of these interviews, and if you notice, it cuts around. It's because they're cutting out mistakes. You saw unedited raw interviews. I was able to do them in a way that I didn't. Not only did I just feel like, oh, this is that's what you get. Like, who cares if I slipped up and maybe like in the first one with I mean, I will say the one that was besides the Tom Hardy Zoom one, which was just stressful because it was hard to hear him and stuff, and I was trying so hard not to talk over him. Um, the one at the USO with like Jeff Nichols, Norman Reedus, all that. That was my first time sitting down and doing an interview in person. And yeah, and Norman Reedus just gave me shit for not knowing what song he was singing at the urinal or whatever when I was in the bathroom. So I'm already like, oh man, like. But
Yeah.
like it was just like it any like okay, it's like going on a roller coaster for the first time. You don't know what to expect. You don't know if you're doing things wrong. Just I don't know. Put yourself in my shoes, okay? I think it could have gone 100 times worse. Any of those ones could have been a complete dumpster fire and like too embarrassing to put up. You know? And like I said, I'm not making an excuse. I just it upsets me or frustrates me a little bit that people will just immediately jump to conclusions. Like there was one comment who was like, "What is this interview, man? You go in there, you're talking to the great Tom Hardy, and you give him this attitude and this and that." And I'm like, "What attitude? Are you? Maybe you're used to seeing me on TikTok or YouTube shouting about crumble cookies and being goofy and shit. This was a stressful, serious environment, and I was there to do a specific thing." Not there to go there and make a fool of myself. Yeah, I think next time I'll probably have a little bit more energy because I know I can do it and I'm a little more comfortable. I'm not. I know how it works now. Like it's just I don't know.
Yeah, and that's one thing to keep in mind with a lot of people
Have some
who've
sympathy.
done these. Like, if you see a video from some channel that like has 1 million subscribers, where all they do is they interview people, right? They've done it so many times. They know what they're
Yeah,
doing, right?
I yeah.
So, if it's someone's first time and they seem a little stiff, well, yeah, no, duh. It's like going into a job interview for the first time, and you're like, I don't know what questions you're gonna ask me. So you go and look up like, all the basic questions you would normally get asked during an interview, and then you go to the real thing and you're like, oh, this is like completely different from what I saw online. Like you don't know. You could prepare as much as you possibly like want to, right? And it won't
Yeah,
go that way. It just won't. That's not how that
dude.
works.
There was literally people that I talked to. They're like, you're gonna interview Tom Hardy," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're not," and they're like, "Nah, man, those Zoom ones are hard. Like it's awkward," and I'm like,
Well, yeah,
"Thanks,
that
that's really hyping me up."
anything through Zoom. Anything through Zoom is so awkward. Like it's a powerful tool. I'm glad that Zoom exists. But Jesus Christ, man, sometimes it's like I can't hear you. You're lagging.
Uh,
There's a delay. Like it's there's so many issues with it. It's like I would much rather do that stuff in person. Like when I had my first job interview for a company that I work for now, um, that was through Zoom, and I was kind of dreading it because I was like, dude, what if my internet sucks? What if my mic isn't good? What if my earbuds just like only work in one ear. Like that stuff like that. There's so many things
Yeah.
that can go wrong. Whereas in person, it's like I'm here, I can hear you
Yeah.
clearly, and like there is no lag or delay. We just talk like normal people.
Yeah, and like the camera had it was like a teleprompter where the camera was like his screen was on the camera, so that was also like, oh, that's how they're doing it. Like I literally get thrown into a room for 6 minutes, and like I have to process all of this while also dealing with Zoom, while also talking to Tom fucking Hardy. I think the majority of people on Earth, if they got put into that room and had to do what I did, they would shit a brick.
Hmm.
I'm just saying, you know what I mean? And like I said, I'm not ranting. I felt like giving a little context to the situation because some of the criticism was insulting. Like I don't think I had an attitude. I think I was just serious because it was a serious environment and I had never done it before.
Yeah, it'd
So
be a
next
lot.
time I will try to have a little more energy and be a little looser. But
It would be a lot different
pardon
if
me.
if it was a podcast with Tom Hardy, where you have
Yeah,
all the time in the world to just sit and chit chat. But
and I
it's
can
not
literally
that.
break the ice before I hit record. Like that changes everything.
Yeah.
Breaking the ice before I hit record is like, I mean, like Chris and I sat here and we talked about Doritos for like an hour before we started. No, I'm just kidding. We didn't do that.
Well, yeah. It was
But
half
a
an
lot of
hour.
podcasts that I've been on, usually they break the ice before they hit record for like 10 to 15 minutes. I hear Joe Rogan
Yeah,
does
Joe
like an
Rogan's.
hour.
Yeah, well, because there's times where it's like, and I like they'll start it, and it's like they're already mid conversation,
Oh yeah,
and
you can
yeah,
tell. Yeah,
yeah.
and I think
So
that's. I mean, he's the most successful podcaster on the planet. So,
yeah, yeah, and
but
so different environment, and especially when you're not in control of what the environment is like, it's just it
yeah,
is what it
no,
is, And so like I totally expected it to be like a much stiffer type of thing, but you have a lot of people who are like
what did you
12.
think of the interviews though? You watched them, right?
What I think is funny is I can tell when you're nervous because you get nervous in the same way I get nervous. That's the
Yeah.
only thing that I could say about that. Where I was like, haha, that's funny. But otherwise, I think they went great, especially
Well,
like if it was
if
your
you
first
pay
time.
attention, every time my eyes go from like looking forward to the side, there's somebody going like this, or holding up a card, or going like this. So if you go back and watch all those interviews, you will see that like 8 times per interview. And just think about that. You're trying to like do a thing. Not only that, like because Austin and Jody were in the same interview together, it meant double the time on each question. I'm like, I really hope I can fit in at least a second question. So like those are the things that are going through my head. If you see me look down for a split second, I'm like, okay, what's the next question I'm gonna ask? Okay, yeah. Like just trying to keep it together because there's so many like things going on at once. It's just I mean, I loved it, by the way. I really hope I get to do that stuff again because I think I will get better at it just like anything else. But it was a lot to process being the first time, you know. But the biggest thing that I could take away from the whole experience is these people are human beings just like everybody else. They just get treated more highly because of what they do for a living and how successful they've been at that.
Well,
Um,
and the thing that I'm thinking about is like is who's in charge of the people who are.
PR people.
Yeah, but is that like a specific, like, is it part of like the marketing company that's doing it? Like
Yeah,
who's.
it's like PR and marketing and like you got to think like the reason why they're so like let's go is because if they go behind if they like they literally have like 8 hours set aside to do these interviews, and if they go over that they get somebody yelling at them, you know, like they could lose their job. Like it's stressful for a reason, you know what I mean? It's just like being on a set, honestly. Like you see the actors having the time of their life, but everybody else is there to serve them and get the performance and all that stuff, and like that part of it is like irreplaceable.
do
An
the
actor is not
actors
replaceable.
do the actors get paid for the interviews?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure it's factored into their contract before they even like do the
Hmm.
movie.
Okay,
For something that high budget, you know.
that makes
But
sense.
anyways, let's move on. Fuck you guys. No, I'm just so
um,
rude, man. Like I was just like, damn. I think it could have gone. Like I thought I did a good job for my first time.
well, you know what time it is. I think it's Gfuel o'clock.
Oh yeah. Well, first I wanted to talk about I guess I can save that for the end. Yeah, we're halfway through, so guys, I just tried the new full release Gfuel, and I don't even like kiwi, and I could say this is a good flavor, man. This and the new cadenza. Sorry, the name is weird, so I had to like remember. The new cadenza flavor is fantastic. Me and Ben were really surprised. Ben and I were really surprised by it. The new full release one's really refreshing. Both two great summer flavors. Dandy Dorito Shaker is still in stock, but I'm telling you guys, the quantity is limited. It is going to be gone soon. Use GFeel code DannyD for 20 to 30% off. Usually when a new flavor drops or goes up for pre-order, it's 30% off, so that's the best time to snag a new flavor. But yeah, GFeel has been restocking a ton of stuff. Using the code is probably the best way that you can support us besides watching this whole video and the Patreon once it's out. But and by the way, I just found out today that Cliff Morgan, the CEO of Gfuel, is retiring.
Whoa.
I don't know who's taking over. I hope they don't can me at the end of this contract. But yeah, no, it's like the end of an era. It'll be interesting to see how Gfuel changes because of that. But yeah, get you some Gfuel, baby. On to the next thing. While I was in LA, every time I go to LA, I feel like Ben introduces me to a new spot, like food spot. And I tried legit Indian food for the first time, which was phenomenal. Totally ruined my stomach.
Okay,
That
I
is
was
not
gonna
a joke.
ask, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if it's all the spices and stuff. Like it's just like maybe if you haven't had it before, your
No, they
stomach's more
what
sensitive
so
to
what it
it.
is they do voodoo magic on the food. And then you crap your pants.
Well, they have this thing called like naan bread. I don't know
Right.
how it's spelled, but it's like a cross.
Naan.
It's like a cross between a flour tortilla and like fry bread,
Hmm.
which like we have fry bread everywhere here, and it is phenomenal, man. The masala sauce. So they Ben was like, we're gonna get some masala fries, and I'm like, hell yeah. So they brought out fries that 100%. If you put those fries next to McDonald's fries, the only difference was these stayed crispy. They didn't get soggy for some reason. But
Random thing. Did you hear that McDonald's is doing ramen flavored shaker fries?
I heard that was only in a
It's in, it's
specific
in it's in
country.
Canada. But
Yeah.
what the heck?
They're trying shaker fries everywhere. It's just like, you throw seasoning and you shake it up and then you can eat it.
Yeah, but what the heck is
But
ramen flavored? Sounds disgusting. Anyways, yeah, continue.
yeah. Masala sauce reminded me a lot of marinara, but more creamy, and it was delicious. I had this. Ben was like, Ben's very picky, so I trust his judgment. I'm like, okay, I know if he gets it, I'm probably gonna like it because he's very picky about food. But it was like this grilled chicken that was like marinated in some kind of like orange sauce or something. Maybe it was masala sauce. I don't know, but that was delicious. And then it was this rice that had like little pieces of like vegetables in it or something that I could not taste. But the rice was delicious. And then they brought out these two sauces. One looked like pesto, but it did not taste like pesto. That was delicious. Had a little kick to it. And then there was this like red sauce that looked like salsa, and that was sweet. And our friend Arjun, he's literally from India, I believe. I know he's at least his parents are Indian, and so he was like, yeah, mix those sauces together and it's delicious. And I did it, and I'm like, wow, like Indian food's one of those things where like I had some really bad curry and rice on like in the Coast Guard on the boat, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I like Indian food, but this was phenomenal.
Well,
100% would go there again.
did they have any like special drinks, or was it just like here's a Coke?
I just had water.
Oh,
I don't know. It was hot while we were there, so. And then we went to Sugarfish again, which is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, sushi restaurant I've ever been to. Just phenomenal. And then he took us to a Mexican restaurant after we went to Six Flags. That was like it reminded me of Matucci's here, which is like the best Italian food ever, where they make everything from scratch. It was like that, and the dishes were very fancy looking, and the restaurant was fancy looking. But Mexican food, I had this burrito that was like this big, and like that thick. It was definitely going there again. But yeah, LA has such a good mix of food. Like they like any type of food you can think of, there's somewhere there that does it well. Here, not so much. Like sushi's like okay. And there's some decent sushi places actually. You just got to eat it there. You know, if you try to take sushi home, I feel like it just, it gets old really quick. Um, Italian food's good here, but the Mexican food here is so like it's so New Mexican. Like they do it
Mm,
differently. And it really makes me sad coming from Arizona because I know what good authentic Mexican food tastes like and I just have not been able to find it here. But yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah, good
I,
food.
I thought it was there was gonna be like a lot more, I don't know, like personality when it came to the restaurants here, but it's like the only places to hear about are like pizza places. That's it. Like that's it. Like
Yeah.
I think everybody who wants Mexican food either goes to like food trucks or they just make it themselves. Like that's it.
Yeah, we have really good burgers here. Like you can find a really like there's so many different places to get like a really good cheeseburger. Like everything is at least above average. I still think the best burger is the Tombstone Burger at Flick's Brew House because they mix in like it's either pulled pork or it's something. It's so good, man.
What even is pulled pork? I hear that term all the time.
It's
Like,
pig.
yeah,
It's
no,
like it's
duh. What is it? What? Okay, why is it called pulled pork?
because it's literally like I don't know how to explain. I don't know, man. I just eat the shit. It's good, okay? It's got a lot of fat in it, which adds to the like without it being like gross. Like I don't know how to explain the meat itself. The ratio of like protein to fat is higher in fat content than like beef. Pork, and because of that, pork has more flavor. That's why bacon is so highly, beloved. It's because the fat content in bacon is like 50-50. But yeah, it's interesting to see how different cities have like they have strengths and weaknesses, but it seems like LA and New York. I mean, New York, I think New York's biggest strength is pizza, whereas LA just they have good everything, man. LA is probably the best place for food in my opinion. Seattle had really good sushi. Um, and then I feel like if you go to like the southern states, you can find really good Mexican food. I hear Florida has amazing Cuban food. Um,
What was more expensive, L.A. or Seattle?
LA,
Really?
but Seattle was close. Yeah,
Huh.
Seattle was very close. But I don't know. I was out there at different times,
Well,
so that
what
also plays a factor.
what about when you were in like San Francisco?
Oh, San Francisco is like almost it's number one most expensive place to live next to New York, and they like flip flop every couple of years. It's like it just there is. I'm sorry, like even San Francisco is not that beautiful anymore. Honestly, it's dirty. Uh, Same thing with New York. New York just feels like it's like a hive colony.
I just
Like it's
remember
just like people
I,
keep building on top of each other.
I asked you what it was like when you went to New York, and you were like, it just smelled like piss.
Piss and shit. Yeah, San Francisco's the same way. You go downtown, it just smells like piss in the air. It's really sad, man. Like they can't keep up with the homeless people pissing and shitting in the street, and none of the businesses will let people use the bathroom unless they buy something. So they're most of the time they
Well,
don't get to.
I know like a lot of like restaurants they'll have like a key that you need. So you go in there, you order something, you go, hey, can I use the bathroom? Then they give you a key, and then you go and open up the bathroom, then you use it, and you come back out and you give them the key. That's how that works.
Dude, I went to a Chipotle when I went to the bike riders thing. I was like, yeah, they're living in 2030, bro. They put the bathroom code on the receipt.
That's stupid. No, I think
Well,
it's
if you have to buy something, it makes sense that the code would be on the receipt.
so okay if someone just throws a receipt in the trash can, right? Then somebody could just go grab the receipt of the trash can and they have the code.
I mean, that you can say the same thing about any place that has a code. Like, oh, what's stopping somebody from buying like a soda and then telling their whole group what the code is?
Yeah, but if you have a key, then you have to be there. You have to
I
buy
would say
something and
most
then get a key.
bathrooms at modern restaurants have a keypad to get in, not a
Although
key.
I will say it was crazy. There was one time I went to a Best Buy. So when we were in Yuma, Best Buy over there, like you could use the bathroom whenever you want. When I moved here, I remember I went to Best Buy to pick up the the phone that I was getting, and I was like, God, I need to pee like really bad. I'm kind of just walking around like trying to find a bathroom, and I finally find it, and it was locked, and I,
Hmm.
I was like, what the? And it turns out, yeah, they here at least, I think the reason why they have the bathrooms locked is not just because of homeless people, but it's also because like they're really worried about people stealing stuff. Like people will bring stuff into the
Yeah.
bathrooms and then steal it. So it's very jarring if you've never like grown up with that, I would say.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to touch on quickly, since Chris and I are both a fan of Mountain Dew, the soda. I finally found the hard Mountain Dew here, which I don't know what it is. I think because New Mexico is like in the middle of nowhere, they just get stuff later than the West or the East Coast does. But so far I'm not impressed, man. Like honestly, the aftertaste is kind of leh. Like it's like the first half is Mountain Dew, the second half is like you know alcohol. But there's three other flavors. One of them was Baja Blast. That's the one I'm most excited to try. So if you're following the second account on TikTok, which if you aren't, and even if you're on YouTube and you're not watching the second account, I would definitely go follow that because that's content that you're not going to see on YouTube for a very long time. I'm basically building up like an archive of content, like an archive of TikToks that I can post whenever I'm on a film set. Like I think so far I have like 20 videos stockpiled, Chris. Like they're just saved on my phone, like ready to go for when I do. So,
Well,
um,
I feel like you've got more than 20 to be honest.
probably. But anyways, if you want to see some content that you're not going to see on YouTube for a while, go follow the second account. It's called More Danny Dorito 23 on TikTok. So, because it's just more Danny Dorito. Uh, moving on. This week's news story. I am hearing a lot of rumblings, and some of it's starting to sound more real, not just rumors. But the big hot topic seems to be right now that Joe Biden might be replaced.
I feel like that's BS.
I don't know, man.
I
Like,
okay. I could easily see him getting into office and then they go, "Hey, you're not fit to serve. We are going to go ahead and just kick you out." And then his vice president comes in.
so the big rumor right now is that he might be replaced by Gavin Newsom, which is the governor of
But
California.
could they do
Which,
that
if you
this
ask
late?
me, that's knowing the state of California and living in California for as long as I did, I think that's a terrible choice. He was the governor the whole time I was there, and it seemed like every time he was in the news, it was for something bad. Like people were not happy with him. He bankrupted the state, let the homeless situation get out of control to the point where it smells like piss and shit in the streets. And then so like Kamala Harris or Kamala. I don't even know the vice president's name, bro.
It's
The
not Kamala.
Kamala
It's
Harris.
well,
I think it is Kamala.
no. I've always heard it as Kamala, but I've heard that that's actually wrong. Like that's the way that you would want to pronounce it, but I think it's Kamala is the way that you actually pronounce it. But I
Okay. Well,
hate that.
yeah, but the rumor that I'm hearing right now a lot is that follow along with me because it's kind of weird. The Democratic Party is gonna decide. They might decide to take Joe Biden out because his mental health is deteriorating quickly. And Gavin Newsom might take his spot, which, like I said, he's currently the governor of California. But I guess his term is coming up, so it lines up perfectly. And then Kamala Harris would run for governor of California, and because she was just vice president, it would be like a shoe-in. Like everybody would just vote for her. At least for what it sounds like. We do not like getting into politics on here, and we're not getting into our political beliefs. But I mean, I know I just kind
You
of talked
completely
about Gavin
bashed on
Newsom, but
California.
well, living in California sucks. It really does. Like I think unless you're a single person, living in California is not feasible at all. Like if you have a family, like the only reason I say that is because like living on your own, you can slum it and not have to worry about the rest of your family's well-being. I can sit there and eat ramen noodles for a week to save money for something, but I got a baby, I got a 7-year old, I got a wife. Like living in California would mean Like, I mean, your cost of living literally gets cut in half or more. It is so expensive to live in California, and the taxes are higher. Like everything about it, like, I mean, Ben was like, yeah, the best decision he made was getting a Tesla because the gas prices are $5 there right now. $5 a gallon, bro.
I didn't know
Three
Gene
dollars
has
here.
a. I didn't know he has a Tesla.
Yeah, and he's had one for like I think a year, maybe a little over a year.
Uh,
So that's been
dang.
interesting. Yeah, and he's like, yeah, no, it's like the best decision he made. Yeah, no, I don't know. We'll see if that actually happens. I think it's not. I don't think it's unreasonable to think that's a possibility. Because I don't know if you guys are watching the news, but like, it seems like every other day now, Joe Biden is just like standing there, just looking lost, or like he's just going through the motions and like not fully present. You know what I mean? Like he's like, if you've ever seen somebody with dementia, it's almost like they're stuck in their own head. You'd be like, hey, hey, and it's like you're not even there because they are literally like their brain is not functioning the way it's supposed to. They are literally like it like when you okay. For example, getting blackout drunk is your brain not recording memories. So like you literally are. That's why people wake up and they can't remember what happened the night before because their brain is so intoxicated and inebriated that the function or the part of the brain that makes memories. So like the reason you can remember what you had for dinner last night is because there's a part of your brain that's responsible for that, and when you are blackout drunk, that part of your brain does not function. And dementia is that's kind of an interesting way to look at it. It's like that where like you're just not even like recording what's going on. Your brain is not. You can't remember stuff. You get lost easily. You can't remember what you had for dinner the night before. And it looks like that's what our president is going through. And to ask him to do another 4 years not only seems like a dumb mistake because if he can't handle it, he can't handle it. But dude, the guy's obviously like on the last leg of his life. Like to have him live the rest of his life as president, where he can barely keep it together as it is, that's just inhumane. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like it's like keeping a dog alive while they're like not themselves anymore. It's
Well,
just it's
I
it's
I, s-
sad, bro.
I still remember
That's the face of our country.
when he had that fall on his bike. That was like that could have
Hmm.
been way worse.
Yeah, and I know on PKA, a podcast that Chris and I watched, they brought something to my attention that I didn't realize. Those bikes, the bike that he was riding, even experienced riders eat shit like that because they're literally locked into the pedals. So I
Well,
think anybody could be riding that bike and get distracted and eat
I
shit.
think
I don't give him shit for that,
he's
but
just lucky that he caught himself the right way because he
oh
could have
yeah,
broken
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Gordon Ramsay just I don't know if you guys saw the
Yeah.
Gordon Ramsay video. Yeah, he like I was like he was shaky and I was like, "Damn, bro, you all
Yeah.
right?" And he was like, "I am lucky to be here today cuz I could have died." And then he lifts up his shirt
And
and
it's
literally
just
it's like
a
one
giant
giant
bruise.
bruise.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, bro definitely broke some ribs or fractured some ribs, man." Yeah,
Yeah.
riding a bike is dangerous, man. It's
Which is
dangerous for multiple reasons, but
it's crazy because you have bikes and then you have motorcycles which are just bikes but faster. And so it's like that's if bikes on their own are dangerous, adding a whole engine to that is like you're just making it way worse. And like I remember there was a story that I heard. It's a little sad, but this guy was on a motorcycle. Dog runs right out in front of him, right? And
yeah.
he kind of does that thing where he turns, that he kind of slides, right? Well, he still hit
Yeah.
the dog, but the dog got hit so hard that he like just crapped himself. Like,
The
yeah,
dog crapped itself?
the dog crapped itself, man.
Oh.
Yeah, and so it's like the guy was lucky to be safe, but like the thing that he hit was just gone. Like, yeah,
That's sad.
yeah, but
Man, why you gotta bring us something depressing like that?
I told you it was sad.
But yeah, anyways, it'll be interesting to see if that actually happens or if there's any truth to that. But it seems like every day I hear it more and more that the Democratic Party might replace Joe
And
Biden because he's unfit.
I will
So
say, take it with a grain of salt because
yeah, yeah. It's just rumors and speculation right
well,
now,
also
but
it's that
major
time.
outlets are starting to report it.
It's
So
that time of the cycle where it's like they're just trying to crap on the other party. Like both sides are doing that because they know, hey, like if we don't find something that's gonna get people to stop voting for them, then we're screwed. Like, and the other thing is, I have no idea if more people are gonna vote this year, or I guess this cycle, or less people will, because I'm sure people feel a lot more strongly about it, but also a lot of people are like, both candidates just suck. So what's the
yeah,
point?
yeah, no, I don't want to vote for either of them, man.
But if you don't, but dang, it's like windy outside. If you don't,
It's windy here too.
oh, I won't even get. We're not gonna have weather talk, but yeah, it's been bad. Um,
Um,
but if you don't vote, like you're kind of admitting, like, yeah, if we end up with the wrong candidate, it's partly my fault.
yeah, well, I guess we'll really see. Like next week, we'll have what is the 27th? Is
That's
that's third?
next.
Yeah.
Yeah, next
So
Thursday. Yeah.
when we record, because if we record this on Fridays usually, so next time next podcast episode, I think we'll talk about the debate a little bit because that's happening on the 27th at 9 p.m. Eastern,
Is it
bro.
really?
That's so late.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. It's probably gonna be 2 hours long or an hour and a half or whatever. So that's gonna be interesting,
It's
man.
past their bedtime, dude.
But yeah, so we'll see, man. I think that's gonna be the real big test for Joe Biden there.
Well,
'Cause
there's
that's
there's so yeah, there's gonna
hard
be
for anybody.
two debates, right? That's
There's two, yeah. I think one in June, one in September. June 27th is the first
one
one.
in September, really?
I think so, yeah. They usually space them out a couple months.
Dang.
They weren't. It sounded like they weren't even gonna do any at first, so I'm surprised they are. We'll see if it gets
Well,
canceled or delayed.
I still remember that Joe Rogan tried to get, I think he wanted to get both Joe Biden and Trump on the podcast, and then it didn't end up going through. Like Trump was down for it, and then Joe Biden's like people were
Yeah.
like, no, we're not doing that. Sorry.
Yeah. Um, we're gonna wrap up this podcast soon. But The Boys season 4 is halfway out. I just watched episode 4 yesterday, and so I guess we're gonna go over our thoughts so far. So far, I'm loving it. The only thing that kind of sucks is that it feels like Frenchie is gay now, and it just felt so out of left field.
No,
Like it doesn't bother me or anything. I don't feel like it's affecting the story too much,
he's
but it
not
just
he's
yeah,
not
it didn't
like,
click with me.
he's not like gay. He's bisexual, I think is what they're saying. But
Okay.
it's just like I also think it's messed up.
It feels a little forced, I guess,
I
is
will
all I'm
say
trying to say.
we're definitely getting into spoilers, so if you haven't seen any of season 4, stop watching.
Skip ahead.
Go buy
Yeah.
some G Fuel first.
Yeah, buy some G Fuel and then just mute us, and then in the next couple minutes, turn it back on.
Yeah.
If you still hear us talk about the boys, turn it off again, buy some more G Fuel, and then I'm just kidding.
But yeah,
I love it so far.
The guy that he is with, it's like he murdered his family,
Mhm.
and it's like, why would
Yeah,
he even
I think
be
it's
in
the
that
weakest
position?
storyline for sure.
So that just seems really strange. And then I think Homelander's situation is just, it's like every time it goes to
Best
him,
part of
it's
the
just
show
like,
for me.
holy crap, what's gonna happen next? And it's like he's getting bad, man. He's getting really messed up. Like he had
Yeah.
his moments, but it's like this entire season, I think it's just gonna be him being a complete psycho.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I've taken away from this show as a whole is whenever I'm trying to figure out how to write exposition for a movie or a TV show, The Boys is one of the best examples I can find. Exposition is the part of the movie or the TV show where they give the audience information that they need to have context for the rest of whatever storyline you're watching. So it's like if you watch a bad horror movie or something, you'll be like, "Oh God, why was that so cringe?" It'll literally be like, "Don't you know we haven't been here since we were kids, since like we were 8 years old that one summer." And it's like the reason why that feels so hammy is because they're trying to deliver important information, but there's a naturalistic way to do it that doesn't feel hammy or pipey. There's different ways of saying it. Like it just it feels forced.
It's like a
The
show
boys
show don't tell kind of a thing.
almost because it's almost impossible to do exposition without dialogue, and usually like how well it's handled by the writer dictates how cringy or weird the show feels. The Boys does exposition in a way where you watch it and then like after the scene's over, you're like, dude, that was a huge exposition dump, but it didn't feel like it. My best example is when Homelander meets who's the smart chick? What's her superhero name?
Sage, something like that.
When he goes to Sage's apartment and they have the whole conversation about how they're gonna work together. That whole scene was exposition
Yeah.
and it did not feel like it. It felt like I was listening to an interesting conversation, like people actually talk. That's how you make good exposition is you make it sound like actual people getting to know each other or introducing each other, to what's going on in their life in a naturalistic way. So when somebody's like, "No, Timmy, don't you remember what happened last time? You got hurt and broke your arm and now you can't write the same." Like that's exposition in a bad way. And I think The Boys is one of the it's like a master class in exposition. I just whoever the writers are for that show,
I will say
good shit.
you had kind of mentioned last time that with I know like Mother's Milk, his actor lost like
Lost a ton of weight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then the actress for Starlight like got her whole
Crazy
surgery.
plastic surgery.
I
Yeah.
yeah, you made it seem like they explained that in the show and they didn't.
So Starlight they didn't, but Mother's Milk literally like the first time he has an interaction with another character, he's like somebody mentions like um something about not eating enough. Like, bro, you seriously like when's the last time you ate? Like,
And that's in season 4.
yeah, it was like the first episode within the first
I'll
like 15
I'll
minutes.
have to rewatch it then because I don't
That's the
remember
thing,
that.
man. Good exposition, you don't even notice it. You don't even notice it.
Well, okay, the thing is, I was looking for it, which is why I'm like, how did I not notice it?
It's literally such a quick exchange. Literally, I was like, God damn, bro, look, bro lost a lot of weight. And then somebody's like, something like, seriously, man, like you're not eating enough. Like, I'm worried about you. And I'm like,
Well, I thought it was funny. People were like, "Did he get recast?" And it's like, no, he's just, healthy. Like that's all it is.
but yeah, but most shows just don't acknowledge it at all.
Yeah. Well, okay. You want my best, like my favorite example of, like media acknowledging something happening
Yeah,
outside of the actual movie or
yeah.
show.
What is it?
Iron Man 2, the actor for War Machine changed. That's when Don
Yeah,
Cheadle became the actor, right?
yeah,
He walks in and Tony Stark goes, "Rhodey?" And Don Cheadle goes, "It's me, get over it." Basically saying like, yes, the actor changed, but he was saying it in a way where it was also supposed to be like, hey, like
context of the story. Yeah,
you are in a court case speaking about something that I did. Like you're almost saying bad things about me in a situation. Like, yeah, I'm a witness. Deal with it, right? And so
yeah,
it's like, if you didn't know that the actor changed, it would have gone over your head. That's
yeah.
great.
That's
I love how they did
uh,
that.
that's good. Yeah, I mean, I think Iron Man 2 is like one of my least favorite. It's my
Okay,
least favorite
okay,
Iron
crap
Man
on the
movie,
movie
but
then. Okay.
that's the only reason why I don't remember that is because that's the one that I'm like, yeah, I've seen Iron Man 3 probably twice as much as I've seen Iron Man 2. Yeah, I felt like I was gonna have a seizure when I was watching Iron Man 2 because there was a scene where they're fighting at the end and there's so many flashes on the screen and I was
Yeah.
falling asleep. I was like,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, and I know exactly what scene you're talking about, and it's like I think people are a lot more conscious of that now, but yeah, it's a little weird.
yeah, um, yeah. So The Boys season 4 is great. I definitely think it's either third or fourth favorite season. I don't remember season 2 super well. I feel like season 2 might be my least favorite, but season 1 season 3 are great. I mean, they're all great, but
Stranger
I mean,
Things season 2 still sucks.
we're talking when it comes to the boys, we're literally talking about like a percentage, like 1 or 2% difference in like writing and stuff per season. Like overall, it's a great show, and I'm glad they're stopping at season 5 because there was some talk about them going on longer, and I was like, no, please. And like the way season 4 feels is like, yeah, it feels like we're getting ready to wrap it up, and season 5 is going to be a big finale. Um, so yeah, the boys season 4, check it out. It's half of it's out now, and then the rest is coming out weekly. And I think it's really cool to watch a show weekly like that because everybody's talking about it on the internet, and it's like you feel like you're a part of it, like
I
you're a
just
part of the
I
craze.
just hate when you go on Twitter and people are like hashtag Homelander suck the butt or something like that. And it's like, oh great, so now you're spoiling
Yeah,
what
don't
happened in that
be
episode.
careful about spoilers. But if you haven't watched any of the boys and you like, I would say the closest thing I've seen is like Invincible. It's a little more crude and graphic, and there's way more nudity than Invincible, but maturity wise, very similar. And then to move on to our last topic before we say bye bye, uh, our movie and TV show recommendations of the week. I've got 2 recommendations. One, go see The Bike Riders in theaters. Please support that film. Not just because I got to do interviews and like meet the cast and stuff, but I genuinely think it's a great film. We don't get a lot of mid-budget movies like that that are in like the 30 to 50 million dollar range. I think mid-budget's like 30 to 80 million. But either way, you don't get a lot of movies like that. They just don't get greenlit. It seems like stuff either gets greenlit with a super small budget, like 20 mil or less, or like 80 million and above. And so to get a $40 million movie is rare, and for it to be good and to have such a great cast, I think the reason why it has such a great cast is because every cast member I talked to said they really wanted to work with Jeff Nichols, and like I said, I think he's one of the best writer directors we have working in the business right now, and I hope he continues um, to see success because I think he could be up there with like Denis Villeneuve and Christopher Nolan, but he tells much more grounded and real stories, is what I've noticed. His movies feel much more realistic, and The Bike Riders is simple and realistic in that sense. But yeah, great performances, really fun story. Go see The Bike Riders. Support good movies. And then House of the Dragon is back. I've seen the first episode. It was phenomenal. I think, yeah, first or this. I can't remember if 2 episodes are out or just one. I think just one. It's great. If you liked Game of Thrones, I think this is just as good, if not a little bit better, because they've learned from some of the mistakes of Game of Thrones. And all of the books are done, so we don't have that issue of them having to just make shit up at the end. But yeah, no, this first episode was the sequence in the last quarter of the episode like legitimately had me on the edge of my seat. Um, Great show. Check out House of the Dragon. And Chris, take it away. Close us out with your recommendation.
Go watch Reservoir Dogs. It's a classic Quentin Tarantino movie.
His first movie.
Yeah, so that movie, honestly, is I would say it's like it's not quite at the level of like Pulp Fiction, but it's like you can really see him start to develop like his style, and it's so like I guess it's like a pure form of like what he wants to do, but it's also like you don't have a crazy budget for it or anything. Like I think
Yeah,
probably the biggest
it's his
actor in
lowest
that
budget.
the biggest actor in that is probably Steve Buscemi, right?
I think Harvey Keitel, 'cause he was in like Taxi Driver and stuff, and this is like the '90s. So Harvey Keitel had been in a bunch of stuff already. Steve Buscemi was still kind of up and coming.
But either way, go watch it. Great movie.
Yeah. If I would say the closest thing to it is like of his is like The Hateful Eight. It very much feels like a stage play.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, great pick. Well, guys, that's it for this week. Let us know down in the comments. Discuss with us the stuff we talked about in the episode. Let me know if I'm a dumbass or a shitty interviewer. I don't care, I guess. And also, let us know if you're going to be joining the Patreon when we launch it on the 1st. Also, comment anything that you might want us to talk about or some kind of topic that you would like to hear on the show or a question. If you say like question for next episode, blah blah blah, and we might even feature it in the show. That might be an option for the Patreon later on too. So it's kind of like a trial run, I guess. But yeah, hopefully the world doesn't fall apart before the next episode. See you next week.
I'm gonna go take a dump. Bye.
Bye.